Hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you have not yet, grab yourself a cup of tea or hot cacao. I have got some right now as I'm recording. I'm actually recording from my local park. So I'm amongst the trees. The sun is setting early here. I'm in the northern hemisphere. It's almost December, everybody. So, we got to cozy up with the people we love and the people we got our eyes on. And that's why we're talking about Venus, because Venus is not only our current partner, but it may be, if we're single, the partner we're wishing to attract and to bring into our lives, right? So sit back, relax, and enjoy this Venus series. There will be timestamps in the bio below with all of the different 12 zodiacs through Venus. To begin, let's just overview the planet Venus and what it means and how I use it in my own astrology practice. As a Venusian being, I'm a Libra sun, Libra ascendant with Taurus moon. So Venus is a very close planet to me, a very, very important planet to me. And when I use my Venus energy, I feel it is very much about receiving. When you're using Venus energy, it has nothing to do with what you are doing or what action you need to take. It's all about the embodiment and the inner reception you have to the gifts and the love and the romance and the relationships and the friendships outside of you. This is a very receptive energy. So we open ourselves up with our Venus. We look at our Venus and say, how can I open myself up with this energy? How can I become more receptive to the love that is correct for me, the love that I'm designed to have? Because we all are designed to receive love. We all need love. We all need connection. That's why we all have a Venus in our chart. So nobody is meant to be alone. Nobody is meant to be forever alone or to have a terrible, turbulent relationship. You're just destined for that. No one is destined for these things that don't feel so good, right? This is Venus. This is about feeling good. We want to feel good. We want to bask in the gifts and the luxuries of life. We want to bask in our own beauty and our own gifts, right? We can look at Venus as our own beauty, our own inner gifts, how we receive money, how we give money. This is just a very abundant, beautiful planet to work with. Has a lot of beautiful, beautiful, beautiful gifts to give you if you're willing to be honest with yourself about what you need, right? Because Venus is also needs. What do you need in a relationship, romantic or otherwise? What do you need from yourself, from your own self love to feel fulfilled in that Venusian energy, right? Venusian energy is it's feminine, it's yin, it has a water essence to it, right? It's watery, it's earthy, the rulerships of Venus is Libra and Taurus. We'll go into those placements very soon. Those are very natural placements, right? It's exalted in Pisces, right, which is a water sign. So we have got these very receptive relational signs that rule and exalt in this planet to just give you a really good idea of this planet. How you can work with it depends on the sign, so we're going to go into that right now. If you have not yet, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications if you want to. I invite you to. Helps the channel, of course. Everyone says that on all of their channels, so don't feel obliged. But if you do feel the nudge to do it, I would appreciate it. To begin, let's start with Venus in Aries. Venus in Aries is an interesting placement to have to have Venus in. I'm gonna be honest. It's not a negative thing, right? With Venus is a very positive, benefic planet. So generally, as long as you're working with the upsides and the downsides of it, right? Because consciousness, there's always going to be duality within everything. So, of course, every placement has a bit of duality. how you're going to work with Venus and Aries, well, first is to acknowledge Venus and Aries. You need to feel pushed in love. Love is an erotic push towards your self-understanding. I've noticed with Venus and Aries, right? Aries being a Mars ruled sign. This is also, Venus actually falls in Aries traditionally. So, Venus and Aries has a lot of learning to do in relationships and love. A lot of taking the me out of the picture. Actually, that is the hardest part about Venus and Aries, is feeling like other people aren't prioritizing you the way that you feel you deserve to be prioritized. People aren't understanding you, aren't taking the time to really get you. It's a very much, you're developing your sense of self through relationships. You're learning who you are and who you aren't through relationships. This is a very personal journey with your identity and what you stand for and what you want. So you actually get to invent this as you go in relationships. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. So you may be feeling as if you've had experiences where you've rushed into love, or spontaneous love affairs happen, and then you take a risk and maybe you move across the country with a lover. Venus and Aries will try it all at least once, because love is a very adventurous, very fiery, passionate thing. And if someone's not lighting you up, getting you feeling passionate or strong, or making you want to lead yourself towards them, maybe this isn't the right person. But at the same time, we want Venus and Aries to know you don't have to wrap your identity around someone. This is only about discovering who you are more. And the person that you are with that would be most compatible with you is going to understand that you're a very unique individual. You have very unique needs, and you're also very energetic and need a lot of entertainment, fun. Venus and Aries, you need to feel pushed, a bit challenged, right? But a partner that can hold you in that, or even a friendship, right? I see Venus also as friendships sometimes, right? Deep friendships, deep platonic, loving, depthful friendships. And so Venus and Aries, when you do come into conflict, walk away and take a time to pause so you can reflect on, is this person pushing me to grow, or is this person pushing me farther away from my authentic truth? Because ultimately, love, your Venus, should be pushing you towards your authentic truth. You should feel more and more like yourself as you go deeper into love. And like I said, you need somebody that pushes you into adventures, into trying new things. There's a huge emphasis with Aries on authentic, one of a kind experiences, right? You might have lovers. You might attract people that are one of a kind people. They're very different than anybody you've met. Kind of like Venus and Aquarius to an extent. But with Venus and Aries, you want that fire, that fire to burn. But I do warn. Here's the shadow. Here's the unconscious tendency of Venus and Aries, is to get bored easily. All right, Venus and Aries is known in relationships to get bored very easily, and I beg the question: is that person not compatible, or are you just not giving yourself what you need and putting too much emphasis on the other person to give you what you need? It could be a variety of things. It could also be that you're in a phase in your life, this is very Venus and Aries, where it's actually the most important for you to be independent. So Venus and Aries will go into phases, and it is encouraged to go into phases where you are completely single and you are figuring out who you are in the world. And what does love mean to you? What does love mean to you? Because Venus and Aries can be really quick to start a romance, to have a crush, to want to pursue it, and get excited. But don't get too excited. Pump the brakes for just a minute, depending on your whole chart, and give yourself a chance to come back to your authentic truth again and again and again. Because the fact is, you have a lot of love to give, and it is very intense when you do give it. And not everyone can handle that. So don't feel bad if you're not well received by certain people. It's not because anything is wrong with you. You might just be with somebody that has, Capricorn Venus, right? That's a 90-degree angle. That's a square to Aries. That's, traditionally not usually the most compatible. It can't any astrology can work together, I will say. But just traditionally, just those two placements, those are going to come with difficulties. So you want to look at the other person's Venus sign to just see how you both love and what you're attracting. With Venus and Aries, you're also going to be having some challenges. So challenges can include learning love through conflict. You're going to learn the difference between healthy and unhealthy conflict in your life. It's very important. Conflict is inevitable in your relationships, but don't be so quick to run. Don't be so quick to have to stand up for yourself or to fight or, to maybe even rush over the problem and not want to go into it. You may be a really easygoing person and have a conflict and want to let it go. Depending on your partner's synastry with you, this could be totally fine and they could move on with you and it's great. Maybe they have a lot of Sagittarius in their chart. But otherwise, it is important to, like I said before, take a pause and remember, in love, you can be the ram, and trying to force things, trying to make people follow you the way that you want to go is not always going to be the way. Like I said, you're unique in your love. It's a one-of-a-kind love. It's very fiery. It's very fun. But be aware of the times that you may be a little bit selfish, where you are really not understanding, why don't they want the same things as me? Why are they like this? Notice if you ever are, throwing on to your partner, like, they're doing this, they're doing this, they're doing this. And it can even go the opposite way, where you're like, well, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. There needs to be that Venusian balance, right? And this is where, this is the fall again with Aries. Aries is very much all or nothing energy. In Venus, it can feel a little bit like you're teetering between extremes when you're in relationships. So have patience with yourself. You will find the right one. This can also have a lot to do with making money or how you receive money. Be yourself. Be yourself and dive into your unique talents because only you have them. You're going to be somebody that is nuanced in what you like to create and what you like to have in the world. It's nuanced in the way that it's unique to you. And only you and your essence can truly give your work or your efforts or your art, whatever it is that you are creating in this world, to then receive in exchange for that creative energy, to receive the gifts of what you're creating. So be okay with being your unique self, being your authentic self, and being extremely good at whatever you choose to do, extremely talented in whatever you choose to do, because you have a lot of energy to create from your unique expression. Venus in Taurus. Venus in Taurus. This is a natural place for Venus to be in. We have Taurus, an earth sign, the bull. If you haven't seen my 12 signs of astrology video, definitely check that out. I go over the glyphs and the ruling planets on there, and I think maybe the exaltations, I can't remember right now. Venus in Taurus is very, very sweet. Sweet and subtle and full of wealth, inner wealth that exudes this comfortable, very caring, very loving energy into the world. people, you'll notice with Venus and Taurus, people will want to just give to you, just because you're so receptive and open. And you may even notice that in love, you're very patient. You're a very patient lover. It's as if Venus and Taurus has very high standards, and they know what they want, and when they want something, they pretty much stick to that. They're not very explorative with love, like Venus and Sag would be, or something like that. They're very much can be traditionalists in certain romantic senses. They like the idea of being courted, of dating. They like the feeding each other chocolates, and going to the movies, and kissing under the starlight. There's very there's very traditional love uh images and romantic images that they have in their hearts, that they feel that they're worthy of, and that they know that they're worthy of, and they are worthy of if they don't know it quite yet. And it is because you are meant to be on the receiving end. And as you receive these gifts of love and care and nurturing, it will be very natural for you to just give it back with ease and effortlessness, because your love is very abundant. Your love, right? It's such a beautiful placement. So you have a lot of love to give when you finally let people in, because this is an earth sign, so it does take time to get to know a Venus, and it's also a fixed sign. A Venus and Taurus, it takes time to get to know them, whether it's friendship or romance. You have to take your time. You have to let them warm up. You have to let them scope it out. They want to feel extremely comfortable, and that's on every single level. So they must feel comfortable in a physical sense, right? If their clothes aren't fitting good that day and they're tight or they're scratchy, a Venus and Taurus is gonna feel irritable and not really want to talk that day. They have other concerns with their comfort going on, right? So this is this is not a particularly anal or anything like that kind of sign, like a Virgo placement would be. It's more of just feeling ultimate comfort, beauty, and relaxation, and all things that you do are very important, because that is how you naturally attract what you want and who you want and how you want to be loved. So it's important for Venus and Taurus to have a lot of boundaries, because people can see that you have a lot. Venus and Taurus tends to have a lot of resources, and or some kind of resources backing them from family or their lineage, or they just worked really hard for it. Something about Venus and Taurus is either was built for them, or they're currently building it, that is a lot of wealth, a lot of foundational material wealth, and they have to protect that. They have to protect it because they are very giving when they do give, but they give from a place of, are we going to build this together? They understand the value of building together with others over time. And this is something they learn over time as they enter long-term relationships. It is important for Venus and Taurus to explore long-term relationships, to actually have very deeply committed relationships. I have noticed Venus and Taurus aren't very successful when it comes to flings or, spontaneous dating. They like to, maybe it's a person they work with very often, or somebody that they come to the same park a lot and they see them a lot. It's somebody, that they've grown to be comfortable with, that they tend to be more attracted to. Like, that attraction takes time with comfortability and feeling that natural flow of being around each other, right? There's no need to force anything with Venus and Taurus. They don't feel a need to force anything, because they know that they are very deserving and they are very beautiful. Venus and Taurus usually has, round features, pretty eyelashes, maybe fuller lips, could be broader shoulders. Just this person has a very strong and abundant feeling about them. They come onto this earth to build something beautiful, right? So when it comes to receiving and giving money, you want to look at your life and ask yourself, how can I make my life more beautiful? What do I need to do to make my life as beautiful as possible? What is beauty to you? Right? What makes you feel nourished and beautiful? So Venus and Taurus, allow beauty to be a guiding force in your life, because the more you are surrounding yourself with beauty and nature and natural things and healthy food, these things like that, you will notice you keep receiving more from people around you. Maybe your family or your grandparents give you a gift out of nowhere, things like that. And Venus and Taurus, I will say, if you want to learn how to receive, then go to a Venus and Taurus. They're very receptive, and they take things as they come. When it comes to gifts and love and compliments, it really fills them up, and they really take it in. They really take it into their hearts. Really big hearts, but generally can be a little bit shy, closed off, it is necessary for them to have boundaries at first, right? Shy, closed off at first. Just because, it takes some time to warm up, because they're very warm. They're actually very gushy. They can be very sentimental. Their homes are very important to them. Where they're living is very important. It's important for them to have a really intimate relationship with their bank accounts, to, feel like they have a savings. This Taurus is it can also be a planet, a sign of excess. So it's being also with love and romance and abundance and these things. It's Taurus, Venus and Taurus. This is kind of the shadow and the learning lesson of it is learning when it is time to let go. And that's really difficult for Venus and Taurus. There is a time to let go, and it doesn't happen too often, because Venus and Taurus likes to keep it very stable and consistent in their relationships and their money and these things. But when it's time to let go, you'll notice that life isn't feeling as abundant and beautiful as it usually is. And letting go can come in some different forms, but for Venus and Taurus, sometimes it does mean letting go of certain relationships, friendships. You might have, an excess of clothing. Maybe you need to donate some things. Sometimes it's good to let go of certain material things so you can let in that new form of abundance the universe and your higher self are trying to bring to you. Because there's always more for you to receive. You just have to be open to it and create that space in your life to have it. Something else about Venus and Taurus people is you'll notice they are very friendly. They're generally kind, very amiable. They can make good lifelong friends. Usually their circles are very tight. So once you're in their circle, you're most likely in it for almost life. Unless the Venus and Taurus is that at that point in their spiritual alchemy where they're realizing, oh, I have to let go right now, which is one of the most difficult things for a Taurus placement to do at any time, is to let go. It is very uncomfortable. And so Venus and Taurus, I want you to know that if you need to let go of something right now and it's uncomfortable, be okay with a little bit of discomfort right now. And because if you know it's for your highest good, if you know it's because you know you're worth more, right? Remember, you're worth more. You're very deserving. You have a very high worth. You truly, truly do, because you bring a lot of worth and value wherever you go. So because Venus in Taurus is also very hardworking. When they're working, or when they are in a business or in a collaboration or whatever they're putting their effort towards, right? They put all of themselves into it. They put all of their body into it, right? It's a very physical sign. So they're willing to put in the work when they have to. And that is always very valuable. So when you are doing the work and putting in that effort in your relationships, in your place of business, whatever it is, and you're just not feeling, you've taken the time, right? You've taken your Taurus time to let things build. You've seen things flower. Maybe a couple of years have passed, and you're looking at the fruits of your efforts, and it's not where you want it to be, or it's not, you're feeling less happy than you were at the beginning. It's time to make a change and do that uncomfortable thing and let go of something, right? Back to letting go. This is a really hard thing for this sign. It's so hard to let go. I would say it's almost more difficult for a Taurus Venus to let go than a Capricorn Venus, and that says a lot. If anyone has like a lot of Capricorn in their chart, or they know that Capricorn energy, right? So Venus and Taurus, such a beautiful placement. I do love it. I've gone on a couple of dates with a couple different Venus and Taurus. I have a couple of Venus and Taurus friends. Similar to Venus and Aries, I have a little experience with every sign in this series. So but I love Venus and Taurus. Very, very, very sweet. Very, 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 very kind. Very easy to get along with. They keep to themselves. They don't like drama. They don't like trouble. It's uncomfortable. They don't like to be uncomfortable. No uncomfortability, please. Not for them. They want to live a smooth, receptive, easy life, and it's well deserved. It truly is. Venus in Gemini. So this Venus placement is very, very fun. I love Venus and Gemini because they can talk about just about anything with anybody. They know how to pique the interest of people through a smart comment or a witty saying, or they just know how. They have the gift of the gab, to say it in a phrase. They know how to talk to people. They know how to change their minds about things and be malleable in certain situations. They can go into a scenario or into a setting and just quickly find who they mentally click with the most, and then just bam, like they're just off chatting for hours, right? They have that gift of being able to really get to know anyone if they want to, right? This comes with some different edges to it, right? Because say Venus and Gemini, say a person's Mercury is in Taurus, this person might love talking to people, but they're very protective of their ideas and what they believe and what they're thinking. It takes them time to talk about what they're truly thinking about, even though they want to so bad, right? It's that Venus and Gemini, that's how they connect most with people, is through speech and communication and sharing ideas, right? Or I've seen some Cancer suns with this Gemini Venus, and so these people are really tender to talk to. They love talking about their family or art, or they'll talk about their homes, or how they are like what they want to do with their homes, or maybe they're moving, right? And they have more intimate ideas and things that they tend to talk about, that's important to them, that's very sensitive, right, with that sun placement in Cancer. So they definitely have different textures and layers to how this person communicates and what they communicate about. But in general, Venus and Gemini picks up on people's thoughts very quickly. They get people. They want to know people. They want to understand things. They're extremely curious and love. So the thing about Venus and Gemini, looking for a partner or their partner in general, they're very inquisitive about who their partner is, what their partner likes. They want to just always know more about their partner, and they always are changing their own minds and changing, their own excuse me, their own inner worlds and their own inner thoughts about things. So they kind of need a partner to catch up with that, or to just at least hold space for it. At the very least, I have seen somebody with a heavy Gemini in their chart with somebody with heavy Capricorn in their chart. Any synastry can work and be extremely beautiful. So there's never any discouragement with that. But, it's with a Gemini Capricorn synastry, right? That's a 150-degree angle without looking at exact degrees. That's a quincunx. So that quincunx, you need a readjustment. So when you're with somebody that's a Venus and Gemini, you're lucky because they're very quick to adjust to you. This is outside of the example I was just saying. They're very quick to adjust to who you are and to what you're thinking, and they'll pick up on it really fast. And so these people are very fun, very lighthearted. It's very, like, they love trying new things. They love, reading books, talking about podcasts, maybe this is like somebody from an older generation. They love talking about what they saw in the newspaper, or, what they saw on Facebook. They want to talk about everything, and it's not really a rigid belief system that they're trying to preach or talk about. It's more of just they want to chat and spread ideas, and they like to feel expanded through their minds in love. So expand a Gemini Venus's mind. That's what Gemini Venus needs. Somebody that mentally gets them and can mentally match and love them where they're at and hold space for that. Venus and Gemini loves people that don't take things too serious. And I say this loosely, right? Because it really does depend on the chart. But when it comes to friendships, I'll say this. They love having friends from all different places. It's actually very important for Venus and Gemini to have all different kinds of friends, and to not let it change their minds, more of expand their minds. So Venus and Gemini, you need to learn the difference between changing your mind because you're around somebody and being expanded in your mind, right? Because this universe is based off expansion. So we want Venus and Gemini to mentally grow. And sometimes Venus and Gemini can confuse mental stimulation with mental growth. It's not always the same thing. Yes, you may be stimulated by, conversations with your, best friend from high school about, those drunken days, and you're having so much fun, or you're talking about, gossip that you saw on YouTube about the Kardashians. But, that might stimulate you for a while, but Venus and Gemini, you have to tune in to your body after you get that buzz in your mind and see, like, am I feeling higher vibration? Am I feeling more lit up and excited about life, or more peaceful, or am I feeling kind of unsettled or groggy or drainy, right? It's sometimes Venus and Gemini has to take that time to go back to the physical body and take a break from the mind really quick. This can be done in short bursts of meditation, right? These Venus and Gemini can have a little bit of trouble with meditation, stuff like that. Just because they're always buzzing for more information. They love it. It's a genuine giddiness for information, stimulation, communication. It's so pure, though. It is so pure and so genuinely curious. And I just love that about Gemini Venus. Generally, you're going to look at how you're receiving money and how you're giving money through, I want to say it's all about your mindset around it, and also about your networks. So you want to have really strong networks, and this goes back to what I was saying. You're going to have people in your life from all different parts of, like, the world or cultures. It's very important actually to be open-minded as a Venus Gemini to speaking to different kinds of people, different than who you are. and being genuinely curious as to who, like, what are they about? Why are they that way? And taking the genuine time to expand your mind in that way. But going back to receiving and giving money, your network is your net worth is a really, really cool saying for this placement, I would say. But they're just so good at talking to people, right? These people could be authors, blog writers. It's just using your mental capabilities to bring in income and to bring in wealth, and to know that you do have a lot to say and you do have a lot to share, and being open to sharing that. And sometimes part of being open to sharing that is being open to other people sharing that to you. That's how you get that natural Venus flow, right? Venus is all about inflow and outflow, that beautiful receptive and like cycle of things coming in your life, things coming out, things coming in, out, beautiful flow, Venusian flow, just letting it all come in as it does, letting it go as it needs to. There's no need to force, to pull, to try to play mental games, right? Venus and Gemini, this can be another downfall, is coming around either you playing mental games or coming around people that want to play mental games with you. And sometimes Venus and Gemini will fall for it because they find it interesting. They'll get their interests will be piqued. They'll start getting curious. They'll get investigative. Not like a Venus and Scorpio investigative, but just like, oh, I'm like they it's almost like the mental confusion can be stimulating in itself. So we don't want you to do that. Just find a partner that loves to talk and chat and discuss and loves to hear what's on your mind. You know, that's what you need. You don't want if you don't want the mental games, right? The mental manipulation, because certain people can see how purely innocent your mind is, how receptive your mind is in relationships, and how much you are willing to change while in relationship, friendship, or romance. So if somebody sees that and they don't have the best intentions, they'll take advantage of that because they know they can change you, right? These Venus and Gemini is willing to change in love. They're willing to change who they are. They're willing, and it's not really much of a burden for them to change compared to like Venus and Taurus, right? They don't mind change. It's very natural for them. So these are people that, this person might do well traveling, or, they might move homes a lot, or things like that. Moving around is really important. It brings that mental stimulation. Going to just new places around the neighborhood or libraries, or anything to kind of get your mind in the right direction and not fall prey for people that are mentally not expanding you, right? That's just another huge thing is you want that mental growth, not just the mental stimulation. You want both. Okay? So Venus and Gemini is so fun, so very sweet, easy to talk to, lighthearted. There can be childlike in a way. You know, Venus and Gemini can I've noticed some people will say Venus and Gemini are fickle in relationships. I would say that's not true. I've seen Venus and Gemini be extremely committed in multiple situations. So it really just depends, like, how compatible you truly are, not just within your astrology, but on a soul level, right? There's always layers to it. So that is Venus and Gemini. Really, really fun placement, and you can always learn a lot from them if you just listen and ask them questions. And Venus and Gemini, don't stop asking questions, because that's what's going to keep bringing in more into your life. Be curious. Be curious about life. Never hold rigid beliefs. That's Venus and Gemini. That's the opposite of what you want to do. You want to always be open, but be smart, like I was saying. And enjoy the changes that you will endure within your own mind, through your relationships and friendships and who you let in. Venus and Cancer. So Cancer is ruled by the moon, traditionally, and it's a feminine, watery sign. The moon goes through phases, right? So Venus and Cancer, when they are in love or in partnership, they go through emotional phases and emotional waves with their partner. It's part of the way they connect. It's not necessarily like a fire Venus where they might want intense passion all at once and then they'll burn out and they're totally chill or they detach depending on the situation. It's more of they like the emotional process of getting to know someone, getting to and really understanding their psyche and their subconscious and their partners or that other person's, whether it's a friendship, because Venus, I have noticed, can be friendship. I really truly believe that, and I've seen it in my own life. I use my Venus in my friendships very, very often, and it's actually extremely useful because remember, Venus is how we want to be loved and how we like to love others. So love is not limited to romance. So Venus and Cancer, they naturally attract soulmates, they naturally attract past life lovers, karmic contracts. Venus and Cancer can have many, many, many lifetimes with certain people, and it's very clear to them. They have a very keen intuition when it comes to partners and friendships. They have a really keen intuition, and on the lower end of this, on a lower consciousness scale, this could be, the shadow could be being attached to karma. So you might see a Venus in Cancer getting stuck to a karmic debt rather than moving forward. This is another sign that one of the harder parts, aspects of it, is knowing when to let go. They kind of have to make that call based off their intuition and their emotions. Their emotions tell them pretty clearly what it is they need to do, whether it is they need to continue pursuing this person or this friendship, or maybe they need to withdraw within, because it's a quite deep emotional journey they go on when they are in love or in friendship. They will stick around for a long time. These are lifelong friends, lifelong partners. Commitment is very easy. This is a very natural sign for marriage, for children, family life, building a home with somebody. This is very natural to them. Venus and Cancer are also very naturally nurturing, or providing. They like to host people at their homes. They like to have a very comfortable home that has their little accents and decor and their own personal space. Because remember, Cancer is symbolized by the crab. So this Venus and Cancer, they're very protective of their home. Their home is their sanctuary. So when they let you in, it's actually a very personal thing. And it's a way of them connecting with others, is hosting and bringing them where they bring the people in where they feel the most vulnerable, where they let themselves get the most vulnerable, right, in their own homes. Another thing about Venus and Cancer is they're very, very sweet. They like to be nurturing. These are people that will, brush your hair, or, give you, loving compliments, make you a meal. They're very good at being homebodies, and obviously depending on the chart, this can manifest differently, but generally Venus and Cancer, they like to be home. Home is where they feel most comfortable, or they feel most loved. So it's really important for Venus and Cancer to make it a priority to get their home life and their environment as correct and aligned and emotionally safe as possible. Emotional safety is very, very important, because like the moon phases and the ever-changing tides that go with it, the inner emotions of the Venus and Cancer are subconsciously influenced by those around them, especially those that are living with them. So very sensitive placement. They will attune to people very quickly. They can attune to people's needs. They can attune to, oh, are you hungry? Oh, are you tired? They kind of already know. They have kind of that sixth sense for those kind of things. which a lot of Cancer placements, especially Cancer, Moon, and Sun, can be very much like that as well. But it's this attunement that, is the way they show their love and the way they like to be loved. So it's necessary for a Venus in Cancer to have somebody that's willing to attune to them, to take the time to get past their walls, somebody that wants to build a beautiful home with them, that like that values a very stable and very warm home life as well. Most likely somebody that also wants a family, also wants to get married. It honestly is very rare from what I've seen in others, for a Venus in Cancer not to want to have this calling for a family or even a soul tribe. Say that it's not the traditional family. Maybe this Venus in Cancer somehow has an odd Aquarian or Sag placement here or there, or maybe even Gemini or Aries. There's kind of a uniqueness to them, and the aspects are in a particular way. They're still going to crave some kind of family environment around them, even if it's not directly through procreating. They crave the sense of family around them, to feel loved and to feel cared for. This is very similar to Cancer Moon, very, very similar to Cancer Moon. So, but the difference between Cancer Moon and the Venus in Cancer is Cancer Moon is very subconscious about it. It's kind of just this innate energy within them that they are craving and pulling in, whereas Venus in Cancer does it in a way that's very loving and effortless, and they know that it will bring more beauty to their lives to have their soul tribe, to have their family. They feel this sense of they have so much love to give. So it's from a place of overflow of love. They have a lot of love and a lot of nurturing, and they have a lot of capacity for people and for relationships and for family dynamics. So if a Venus in Cancer loves you, they most likely, love your family too. They're probably asking about your sister, asking about your dad. They probably are close to them or have personal relationships with them outside of you. If you let a Venus in Cancer in and you click and it makes sense, right? There's that. Usually a Venus in Cancer is most likely going to be, if you're somebody on the receiving end of their love, most likely is going to be some kind of soulmate to you or kindred spirit. There's always going to be this interesting recognition with a Venus in Cancer in some way. They just have a very close tie to their past lives and to their intuition that sometimes they can't even put into words. But when it comes to relationships, romance, and friendships, they're very just quick at, yep, this is my person, or oh, I really like them, and then they just, kind of build a home in you, or in some way, right? It's just very homey love. They make you feel very safe. On the downfall or the lower consciousness end of Venus in Cancer, they can be manipulative. They can hide things, right? There might be some kind of hidden secret that maybe they even are hiding from themselves. Manipulation in the way that they use their emotions, their emotional ups and downs to possibly get what they want or what they feel they need, rather than, voicing what they need. Because Venus in Cancer has a lot of needs. They need a lot of support because they give a lot of support. So this is where Venus in Cancer needs to be honest about what they need and to voice that. And if they're not getting what they need, to walk away and to raise their vibration by walking away. This is the letting go part. Maybe it's a new moon, and because Venus in Cancer, when it comes to your relationships, you probably want to work with the moon. So when maybe it's a full moon, maybe this is time to go out with your friends, or maybe to go look for new friends, or maybe it's time, depending on the moon sign and your whole chart, it could be a good time to look for, to go all out on a vacation with your loved one and propose. Or maybe it's a new moon and maybe it's time to flush out and let go so you can start anew. you know, it really depends on how you personally work with the moon, but it is really important with your relationships and your love and your self-love to work with the moon. And I would also say Venus, Venus in Cancer, make sure you're nourishing yourself because Venus in Cancer can outsource their nourishment, their emotional nourishment through others. So take the time to know yourself emotionally. Take the time to have a lot of compassion and patience and love for your own emotions like you tend to have for others. That's where the, feeling of lack of reciprocation can come from. And right, Venus is all about reciprocation, that endless flow of love. So take that time, make those days where you do go into seclusion and you do, make yourself a beautiful meal, or you bake all day for yourself, or this is my spa day. I'm going to run a bath and I'm going to read my favorite book and I'm going to go get a massage or something. I would probably most likely stay at your house, just because, you love it there. So, or they love it. They do. They love their homes. It's a really, really sacred place for them. So, don't let that be a negative thing. Your living space is important. And, when it comes to Venus and Cancer traveling, they will travel and they will go and they will go to different environments and try different things, and it has a profound effect on them. And it does have a profound, their environment has a profound effect on the people they attract and the kind of love they pull in, the kind of love they're able to give. So it's just important through and through, from the home to the location to the environment itself, the weather, the seasonal patterns of their environment. It's all has a very profound effect on them, and it's all an act of self-love. So if you are not feeling fully in love with your life and in love with yourself, possibly take a trip to somewhere that is a completely different environment and get to know yourself and in that environment, and you'll kind of see how, your vibration and your magnetism, because I feel Venus's magnetism as well, pulls in different kinds of people, different kinds of experiences, abundance, money as well. So, Venus in Cancer, I could see, the mother being a very supportive figure. They probably had a very hardworking mother, a mother that showed them a very keen work ethic, to help them push forward. Generally Venus and Cancer can support themselves very well if they, have that good example. Otherwise, there is this feeling of helplessness. This is the opposite end of helplessness, of emotionally feeling unstable, so financially not feeling stable. So emotionally stability can very much translate to financial stability for Venus and Cancer. It's very important to be extremely, extremely emotionally stable. So Venus and Taurus, or even a Moon in Taurus may help. Right, Taurus placements in somebody's chart may help if you're a Venus in Cancer and feeling a little unstable. Right, because the Moon exalts in Taurus, so this is usually a very emotionally stable person. So if you're just needing that rock to kind of help you balance yourself off of, you're having those kind of swings, you're going back and forth as a Venus and Cancer about a relationship or something in your life, you can definitely depend and lean on a Taurus placement, or maybe even a Taurus sun, just to remind you that you can take things slow, you don't have to rush things, and you can just enjoy your process and take your time. You don't have to rush into anything, even if the emotions are very high, because you have a keen intuition. It doesn't necessarily mean that you need to act on it quite yet. It just means it's emotion passing through. Let a couple moon cycles, as a Venus and Cancer, let a few moon cycles pass through as you're exploring a relationship. This is going to give you just some insight on how durable and how reliable this relationship is, because it's very important that your relationships are reliable, dependable, and give you that stability, because you're already, processing so many emotions for your partner. If your partner themselves is just unaware of their own emotions on top of you subconsciously processing their emotions with them, it can kind of be an overload and manifest in the body somehow. Could even be some kind of like issue with the hips or the breasts, or like a body dysphoria. It could manifest in like different ways. It really could manifest in different ways, but I would see it with like, the chest, the reproductive organs, like sacral chakra, heart chakra area, things like that. So take your time. There's no rush. If you need to lean on someone, lean on a moon in Taurus, or look to a sun in Taurus as example, and see that you can move forward in life. You can be durable. You can take a relationship with you and be just as strong in that relationship as you could be alone, which is difficult because Venus Cancer just does so well in relationships. They're just so nurturing, so providing, and so emotionally there for the people they love, that it can be very second nature to them to want to find somebody that is broken or hurt or in a bad place, and they just want to immediately mesh with them and become one. And I know how you're feeling, I know your pain, I'm here for you. But the difference is doing that with somebody that is willing to change and evolve with you, versus somebody that constantly needs you to feel bad for them in their own pity party. There's only so many cycles you can go with somebody in the same mental loops and the same emotional loops, where if they're not choosing to intentionally shift their vibration by either changing their diet, changing their mindset, going to therapy, you cannot force someone to heal. If somebody truly loves you, they will choose to heal with you, because Venus and Cancer heals through their relationships as well. There's a lot of healing that happens. So that's Venus and Cancer. Really sweet placement. This was a little long, but I hope you could appreciate this Venus and Cancer. And those that are loving a Venus and Cancer, you're very, very fortunate. You're most likely very, very fortunate, depending on the synastry of your two charts. So, all right, Venus in Leo. This is my personal Venus sign, so I'm going to try my best not to be biased, but because it is a personal Venus sign, I can also, say from personal experience and personal observation, lengthy journaling, and years of just self-awareness and observation, study of the self and the embodiment of self, I can say that Venus in Leo is a very much all or nothing Venus. It's kind of like this big fire, right? Venus in Leo wears their heart on their sleeve. They have really, really big hearts. They really love to play. They love fun. They love games. They can seem lighthearted at first, just because they have a natural tendency for flirtation, or they can take up a room a little bit with their energy, and you can kind of tell like, oh, it's a Venus in Leo, right? They might have like some kind of like extravagant watch on, or their hair is done a certain way, or like they have a certain charm in their eyes, or they have good jokes, good humor, really humorous people generally. And we have to remember, though, this is a fixed fire sign, so Venus in Leo can get stuck on a rush. So Venus in Leo will feel, they have this really keen sense for feeling a rush with somebody. They kind of know, like, by this intense passion in them that, like, like, I want you, or like, like, they're everything, right? It's just this, they can get fixated on this idealistic version of somebody and who they think they are. And that is kind of why, Venus in Aquarius is in opposition to Venus in Leo, right? Venus in Aquarius would never do that. They're very down to earth with love, and even detached. They see through people really fast, and we'll get to that. But so Venus and Leo, I'm explaining that to kind of explain the contrast here, so you can get the depth of Venus and Leo's fixations. It can be a really intuitive sign because their heart is wide open, and they're very giving, and they very much know that they're also very deserving. So when a Venus in Leo is in their highest self, they realize that not only do they have high standards, but they need those standards fulfilled. They cannot be lowering their standards for anybody. It's like, because the Venus in Leo has has a legacy through their love and their relationship to fulfill. They have a kingdom they want to create, and this can be a very unique kingdom. But this kingdom is full of fun, abundance, games. Whatever that Venus in Leo wants, because the Venus in Leo has a lot of desires. Like, it's a very right. This is the sun in Venus, so it shines. This Venus in Leo person also just shines really bright with desire. They just, they can inspire people by what they themselves get to experience in love and in what they receive, depending on the aspects, right? So depending on the placement. So for example, I am a Libra sun with a Taurus moon, Libra Mercury. So we've got, and then I have a Sag Mars. So, we've got this beautiful trine between the Mars and the Venus. Sexual energy flows very easy within relationships. But then, maybe my Taurus moon, right, is squaring that Venus. I don't know the exact orb, but for that conjunction, but there is for that square, but it's there. So the emotional atmosphere, right, of a Taurus moon is very stable. It's very slow and conservative at times, very tender. But then the Venus in Leo is quite a rush, very big energy sun. So this can square in the way of, relationships can be challenging to not only meet the high standards of the Venus in Leo, but also meet the emotional needs, because they seem to contrast each other with that square. So that's just an example from my own chart, how that might play out. I've also seen, a Capricorn moon with a Leo Venus. So that's technically a quincunx loosely. So quincunxes are fun to play with. They can go well together. I would say for this specific quincunx, it is looking at relationships in the long term and taking those harder reality checks, because the emotional atmosphere is very calculated with the moon in Capricorn, whereas the Venus in Leo is very all out again. So both examples are with moon, earth moons, but I hope you're kind of getting the idea here of working with different planets and aspects and how they can add those textures. Venus in Leo is very quick to attract and pull in money. They are very much when they are in their gifts and their talents, because they have a lot of gifts and talents they like to share with the world and to share in their relationships. They have a lot of art, maybe it's art or maybe just plainly wealth or money that they're making that they like to give or share or show off through gifts, and vice versa. So it's important for Venus and Leo to feel wined and dined and courted like true royalty, and to take compliments, take the admiration that you naturally receive in life, because you will receive, as a Venus and Leo gets more into their worth and really owns who they are, their individuality, they tend to attract people that like that uniqueness of how they are and how they love. It's a fiery love full of burning passion. And again, it's a fixed sign. It is Leo can be a very traditional kind of person. Venus and Leo can be a traditional person to an extent. They might be monogamous and enjoy a very monogamous relationship going, because they don't like to share. Venus and Leo does not like to share because they don't feel like anyone is worthy. Like, they don't feel they would ever let anyone share them, if that makes sense, right? So it's like Venus and Leo can have this double standard, which is kind of, here's the unconscious things with Venus and Leo. They can have this double standard of, I want to be someone's one and only, but also I want, endless admiration from everyone and to be praised and have a lot of attention, which is totally fine as long as you're aware of it or they're aware of it. But otherwise, they can, put onto their partner their insecurities. Like if their partner is getting attention or compliments, and they're not in that moment, they can take it like, they can take it very wrong. Like, so you like them, or, I see how it is. Like, you don't love me anymore. It's like it's a very dramatic sign, right? Leo can be about theatrics. It's like the fifth house, theater. So, they can, Venus and Leo will take you for this dramatic spin of a relationship if you want to take the ride with them. It's very poetic at times. If a Leo Venus is not conscious of the theatrics they tend to play, because for them, love is kind of like this melodrama, or this, some kind of, like I said, some kind of movie or play for them, and they're the leading role, and they're looking for that one and only, or that certain partner that just sets them aflame, and running in the rain, right? They can be a little bit idealistic, but even more than like a Libra Venus, because they have felt such passion. They have such a capacity for passion, and fixed passion at that. So they can be in a long-term relationship for a very long time and sustain the same passion and feelings just with that fixed fire, where they might get lost in long-term relationships, where is if that person is not, filling their flame up. So for Venus in Leo, it's very important to have a partner that has humor, that, wants to have one-of-a-kind experiences with you, wants to have authentic experiences, praising you. Praise kink is like a very important thing for Leo Venus, right? We can actually look at Venus as, kinks and sexuality too, which might be a whole nother YouTube series that I do, just with astrology and sexuality. But we're focusing more with Venus in relationships right now, and a little bit of wealth and money. But Venus and Leo, comes off very wealthy, comes off very like they have everything to people, and you would never know if a Venus and Leo was struggling unless they told you. And honestly, it's best for a Venus and Leo not to tell people that they're struggling or they're having a hard time at times, because there are people that they tend to attract people that can be, jealous or haters, or, take away their sunshine or their brightness, because Venus and Leo, when they are shining bright, they're on top of the world. They might be just like getting a new job, a random check from who knows comes in, like all of a sudden like the house offer they made like gets approved, and like their car is like their car like is paid off the same month. Like when a Venus and Leo is doing good, they're doing very good. And it's very much easy for Venus and Leo to be on top of the world and then let the haters and or the negative criticism get to them, because this is Venus energy. This is the other and the self as one. So Venus and Leo, you cannot let that negative commentary or that criticism from the outside world, because I know that you're in your life and in your relationships, you're kind of on a stage to an extent. So it feels like when you're on that stage and the haters are calling out from the audience, it can just feel like they're throwing tomatoes at you, and you should just get off the stage and be booed off. And that is kind of the harder part of Venus and Leo, is they have a lot of pride, and they can't let their pride be determined by people that don't fully see their light, right? And you don't want Venus and Leo either, you don't want, this is a very prideful placement, so you don't want to let things get to your head either. So, people might compliment you and, really try to date you or really show their interest in you. But if you're not feeling that flame, if you're not feeling on fire for them and feeling that like heart opening, like your chest, literally, if you bend your chest back a little, like roll your shoulders back and open your chest, feel, you can breathe here and you can feel your chest literally opening, right? So this is kind of just a physical feeling or sensation that literally happens within your heart when somebody really lights you up. The biggest thing though is that it's reciprocated. You want somebody to light you up as much as you light them up, and vice versa. They light you up just as much as you're lit up by them, right? Or they're lit up by you, or however, right? All the things. So it's important for Venus and Leo to have healthy pride in relationships. Don't let the negativity get to you. You will have a lot of haters. You will have a lot of people plotting on your downfall. And you have to go into your royalness and remember that you are really deserving. You are the sun. And in relationships, just as much, you are deserving. You deserve that wealth, that abundance through your relationships. You deserve to feel wined and dined, catered to. But don't forget to give that back, Venus and Leo. Sometimes you can be a little bit self-centered and get a little bit too caught up in the you of the relationship. Remember, this is my Venus sign, so I'm being really honest here. You can be a little caught up in you, and this can totally, backfire depending on the synastry you have with somebody. So you want to make sure that you are making sure your king or queen or other royal counterpart is being taken care of just as much. But as a Venus and Leo, if it's somebody that really lights you up, like I said, you will have no problem doing that. There will be no question of you wanting to share in your gifts and your wealth, like with somebody. It will actually be beneficial when you find that right person where you both light each other up to, share that wealth and be giving and, extravagant together. It will just attract even more wealth and money to you guys. So this can be a really good placement for building wealth with somebody, building like just attracting money or attracting, really exuberant, one of a kind, unique experience with somebody. People that date a Venus and Leo never forget. They never forget them. It's always going to be a one of a kind experience. And, you may have people that, you are stuck on, but people might also get stuck on you. So, like I said, don't let the attention get to your head just because somebody is very fixated on you or thinks maybe that you're the one. If you're not lit up, if your heart is not opening wide, wanting to dive like face first, like full body into this, then it's probably not for you. Because you're designed for a special and a particular kind of love, especially, depending on the placements, right? Depending on the placements, there's more nuance to it, but I hope you enjoy. That is Venus in Leo. Venus in Virgo. Venus in Virgo, if you saw the original series that I posted, you may know that love and relationships can be a little bit of a struggle for you. It's not because you want it to be. It's not because you're asking for it, or maybe you mentally are. That's going to be deeper into this segment. But it's not because you deserve it or you want it necessarily. It just seems that love is a little bit more complicated than everybody makes it out to be. And so when you're out in the world of dating and getting to know people, or maybe even you've been married once, really depends on the person, but you may still feel like you're struggling or you just haven't figured it out. And it's because your love can be a little bit detached and calculated. It's very important for a Venus and Virgo to have a physical kind of goal or foundation with somebody. So what this could look like is literally working with the person that you love. I've seen quite a few Venus and Virgos running businesses with their partners. They do really well on a practical level with partners or with friendships, right? And this can come off a little bit cold to some people, right? For example, a Venus and Leo may not particularly enjoy the conservativeness, the particularness of a Venus and Virgo They can be very, like, a very sanitary lover, very clean. They like to keep their homes clean. You know, even like sexual experiences can be very lighthearted and clean at first. It's very important. Like the sheets are clean and things like that. And so some partners can take that as anal and take you the wrong way, where it's just like you have particular things while in relationship, right? Because Virgo is a very picky sign. So having this in the Venus placement can be a bit troubling or off-putting to others. And it's not that you're trying to be, it's just that you need somebody that, you know, they get you and they kind of have the same particularities, which can be difficult, right? Because Venus and Virgos are, they're very unique in what they are particular about in relationships. So this can be in a way of like they have a certain standard, or you know, they need certain things, because Venus and Virgo is a service based sign. So Venus and Virgo tends to, you know, be able to give endlessly, and they don't really have to receive that much. It's not that they don't have to, it's that they don't even consider it. Sometimes they can very quickly lose their own needs or sense of service to self, in a healthy way, right? Because you know, they don't necessarily try to serve themselves in anything. They like to give in relationships. They're very huge givers, but this, like I said, this can come to at a cost, because they start to forget themselves, and then their cup runneth dry, and then they're struggling, and they, you know, their partner is so used to the Venus and Virgo keeping it all together, or, you know, having it all figured out, or, you know, being the one that, you know, is telling them, you know, this or that, or I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. You know, they can just take on too much in relationships when they need to also make sure that they're being taken care of and nourished in the very particular ways. And usually this is through acts of service. So, you know, for Venus and Virgo, dating might not be always the most favorite thing of a Venus and Virgo. They don't, sometimes, you know, I've seen Venus and Virgos where they don't really, they enjoy going out to dinner, or, you know, going on a vacation, but it's kind of like, they're very much like, what's the point? Like, are we doing something here or not? They can be a little bit too logical. They kind of want to know the answers in relationships. This is kind of where, you know, Venus and Virgo has to let go of that control, that mental control. They might, the downfall of a Venus and Virgo may be like mentally convincing themselves or the other person of something, whereas they need to just be more open and let go of control and kind of see where things go, right? They're it's not, and it's difficult. It is difficult for Venus and Virgo. So it is important that, you know, Venus and Virgo finds a partner, you know, that knows what they want, that's very clear about it to them. The communication is key for Venus and Virgo, even though they can be a bit shy about what they need or they want, just because they're, you know, they tend to not be used to people, you know, asking them, or, you know, taking the time to really get to know that, because they're always so endlessly busy taking care of other people, their friends and their families. They can, you know, not be used to that. But Venus and Virgo, I'm telling you, there is somebody that's willing to serve you just as much as you're willing to serve them. It's 100%, because your service is so beautiful. It's a devotional. It is a completely devotional love. Venus and Virgo can do very well in marriage, just because once they're settled in, they will get into routines, right? They're very routine based Venus signs. They're like, they can be a very easy partner to live with if you guys have similar routines, or you guys get on a similar routine together, right? This is a person that can really sync up with you and get to just know you, and then just match you, you know, like, oh, okay, we're getting up at 9, like, we're gonna make breakfast at 10, then we're gonna go head to work at 11, we close the office at 7. Like, it's a person that, you know, you can do monotony with them, and they're totally fine with that. It's an earth sign, so they're very okay with the earthiness and the material, the mundaneness of relationships. You know, they don't need to feel like this extravagant ness that like maybe a Venus in Leo needs. They are okay with things being subtle, you know, being easy, being, you know, based around working towards something. This is another Venus and Virgo thing, is that they do love to like work. They love to work on things. They love to, you know, work out a new project, to tinker on something mechanically. You know, it's a very much like how they make money and pull in abundance is usually through, you know, just simply serving others and using their work as a service. So, like I said, it can be a hard balance because Venus is harmony, inner harmony as well. So it can be a difficult balance within to know, like, you know, am I putting too much towards my work? Which, for Venus and Virgo, that is a tough question. That's a very tough question. I'm going to be honest. It's a very tough question. And only the Venus and Virgo can really answer, because they will know if they are, if they're not, if they're, you know, starting to feel brain fog, lethargy. They might be attracting unfulfilling relationships, or you might be attracting like relationships that bring upon health scares, or, you know, like Virgo is health. So in essence, a healthy relationship in a healthy work life is going to enhance your health. You should feel more healthy than ever. You should feel, you know, you're eating the best food because, you know, you're just putting so much towards your work, and it's giving back so much to you that, you know, you're eating the best food. You know, you have extra time to do your workouts. It's very important for Venus and Virgo to work on their body and work on their health as an act of self-love and service to themselves. That's going to, you know, upgrade their vibration and help them attract, pull in, magnetize, reflect a lover that has those same values. There's a sense of having, you know, values, having particular things in their life that are important to them. This is usually their work or their purpose in life, their service, what they do. And it's really important actually for Venus and Virgo to sometimes, you know, have those same have that same mission or that same kind of service that they want to do. So for example, I know a Venus and Virgo person who is a full-time yoga teacher, an instructor, and even more online, and her partner is doing the exact same work with her, and they work together, and they both have run the business completely online together. And, you know, they've been married maybe, I don't know, 8 years or something like that. Like, they've been married for years. So it is important for a Venus and Virgo to have that kind of stability with their partner, to make it work with their partner, and their partner having that same dedication, devotion, and that love of service. And this is where Venus and Virgo can kind of feel like at a detriment to an extent, is Venus. Venus in some traditions is in detriment in Virgo, and so there can be a lot of sifting through a negative mindset towards love or relationships, just because when a Venus and Virgo gets hurt, they take it with them for a long time. They really take it to heart. It's a very sensitive lover, so that's why they're so good at attuning to people and attuning to their routines, and their health can even change based off who they're dating. So yeah, Venus and Virgo, you have to just get over the past. Don't be overly critical of yourself anymore, which is easier said than done. But just know that there's healthy criticism for yourself and unhealthy criticism, and Venus and Virgo needs to learn that from their partners as well. Their partner needs to know how to tell them like what they need without hurting the Venus and Virgo and being hurtful and too cold about it, and being aware of the Venus and Virgo's insecurities, because Venus and Virgo does actually have a lot of insecurities that they need to work on and be honest to themselves about. It's actually very difficult for them sometimes to be honest about this, though, because it brings up a lot of pain from the past, usually with their mother, or maybe even getting picked on at school. It kind of depends. Venus and Virgo, you know, being around people, or maybe one of their first relationships, their, you know, the person they were with was highly critical, overly critical of them and brought down their self-worth. So it's really important to learn what healthy criticism is and learn when to throw the unhealthy criticism to the trash, because some of it is really pointless. Venus and Virgo, when you think certain things, like that can manifest in your relationships through your own mental criticism. So try to give yourself a compliment more often. You're really hard on yourself, and for good reason. You have a lot of beautiful service to give. You feel very responsible in your relationships. You have you're caring for others, and you don't mind it, but at the same time, it's important to know that you're going to run yourself into the ground if you don't take that time to really, compliment yourself, affirm yourself mentally. It's a very mental Venus. So, taking that time to look in the mirror and affirm yourself, things like this. It's a mental placement. And so self-love is also very much like a mental process, getting your mind right. Kind of like Venus and Gemini, but a little bit different because it's through routines. So you have to do this routinely, starting a routine of one compliment a day, putting in those little extra efforts towards your self-love and self-affirmation, just because you are so hard on yourself, which is not necessarily a negative thing, because you can usually build yourself back up from the criticism and make whatever you're building, whether it's your relationship or your work, you can make it better. This is a sign of excellence at times. But Virgo Venus, it's not about having an excellent work or job through self-criticism. It's about, letting things just be what they are, and loving yourself through them, kind of having that surrender, that Venus energy, instead of using your mind to try to push a narrative or try to overly criticize yourself into shaming yourself because somehow, that's a coping mechanism that you learned, and that's how, because it's going to reflect in your relationship very, very fast. Your mentality is going to reflect into your relationship. It's going to show very quick, like if your partner is loving you, accepting you, if your partner is belittling you, it's going to show very quick. And it's also going to show in your health. Like I said before, it's going to show in your health. So take inventory of your health, take care of yourself. Venus and Virgo, I do love this placement for their sensitivity. I love this placement for their work ethic and for their tendency to be very sensitive to the little things. They really notice the details about people. They're very, very keen on that, and it's very, very sentimental in that way. They really pick up on people's little habits and people's little things, like, oh, that person's like smile like upturns a little when they laugh about this, or I notice like you've been using this toothpaste, so I bought you more. Like they kind of pick up on these like weird little things about you that you're not even sometimes noticing, but they notice. So it can be very loving. It's very loving. But they love in that unique particular way that isn't for everybody. But it's because Venus and Virgo needs that special person that special person that just gets them, and has this, like I said, has the same mission statement, and similar lifestyle. It's very important. Similar lifestyle, same mission statement, and somebody that really sees how much effort you put in and really serves you just as much and is willing to put in that effort like you do. So that is Venus and Virgo. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'm really, really grateful for you, and I'm really, really grateful for all of the people and all of the Venus through Aries and Virgo beings that took the time to watch this. If you want to see the rest of the signs, I'm putting a part 2 video up pretty much right now, so go check that out. The part 2 is just as powerful as the part 1, and if you're an astrology student like myself, definitely take the chance on listening to all of the signs to get the utmost knowledge and information. And I would love to hear your own perspective about your placement. Was there information that resonated, but also information that did not? Like always, use your discernment. These are general readings for specific placements, but I hope that you feel the love, the care, and the Venusian energy coming through this video. Please like, sub, and comment. I really, really appreciate it, and I want to keep growing this channel. I want this to be my full-time job, and my full-time passion and career is astrology. So anything helps, and I'm really, really grateful for you tuning in. So check out part 2. Let me know how you like it, and I'm really excited to connect with you in the comments if you do choose to comment anything. So have a really, have a really beautiful day. Oh my goodness, and I have a little bit of a cough too. And I will see you soon.